Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am going to be giving you mine and my daughter's review of the community and connection unit from Teach Them Fun, so stick around. So it took us a little bit longer than I had anticipated to get through the unit, but that's just, we got sick, we had other things coming up, we took days off, all that kind of stuff. So we're finally officially done with it. If you did not see the flip through of this, I will link it up for you so you can go back, kind of watch that, see about the unit. And then obviously today you will get our thoughts and feelings. If you have seen any of my other review videos, you know that I get my daughter's opinion and write down her pros and cons, and then also I give you guys kind of my thoughts and feelings as well. So as always, we are going to start with my daughter. Just kind of let you know, she is almost 7, and this is what she had to say about the unit. The things that she liked with this unit were all of the books. It was very book heavy. There are lots of options depending on what's available to you, what your budget is, all that kind of stuff. There are some options for the books. And I talk about that a little bit in the flip through. There is one book that you will want to purchase for sure, because you're going to need that through the entirety of the unit, and it's just a really good kind of resource book. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. She loved all of the books. She also loved that there was no spelling in this, so if you have been around for a little while and watched any of our other videos, we are typically a gather round family. And so she's used to the teacher's guide, a student notebook, and then built into that student notebook is, all the subjects. So science, history, math, all of that with spelling included. She liked this, didn't have the spelling, but she did really love the writing prompts. And I talked about that a little bit in another video that I can't think of at the moment. But the writing prompts, she really, really loved those. And then she also liked the Fun Fridays. And I asked her specifically what was her favorite Fun Friday activity, because that's what Fun Friday is. It's just some kind of craft or, an extra activity, something like that. And she really loved the self-portrait. And I actually still have it hanging up here. I think she did a really, really great job. I asked her things that she didn't like with this unit, and she said nothing. I asked her, there's not one thing that you wish maybe was different or that you could change, or maybe something that you would like more of or less of, and no, she had nothing. So she really enjoyed and really loved this unit. All right, now on to my thoughts. And here are just kind of some things to be mindful of. And I won't say they're necessarily pros or cons. Obviously, it just depends on what you need out of a unit, what you're looking for, your expectations, all of that kind of stuff. But one thing to know is this is not a full curriculum. It is not going to give you science and math, language arts. It is not created for that. Are you going to get pieces of those? Are elements of all of that included in the unit? Yes, of course. That's life in general, and especially when we're using a curriculum. Sure, you can pull out things, but this is not, it's not a full curriculum. It's not meant to be, and it's never has been meant to be that. It is just a fun extra mini unit. We used it as our core for the season we were using it, because we are easing back into school. Well, now we're a little more into it now. But this was a unit that I knew was going to be very light, very easy to kind of just get us back in the groove of things. So depending again on what you're looking for, just know that this is not going to be a full, robust, academic heavy unit. That is not how it was designed. So moving on to kind of what I've listed here as my pros. We had fantastic conversations prompted by this unit. There were just so many points in here, and so many facts and just kind of things to ponder that are important, and they're kind of life lesson type conversations that I know at some point they would come up, just through life in general, but to have them come up while we're learning, and while we're doing a unit that is on community and connection, it was almost like I know that we've covered this kind of thing. Like, sure, it may come up in the future, but to know that we went through this and we've had conversations about, just different things, some of our family history, some of my family dynamics and my husband's family dynamics, and my daughter getting to express things that she likes about herself, and me as mom getting to pour into her and say, God created you this way, and you are so great at doing these things, and you're a really, really great friend. And, I get to pour into her in a way that I haven't done that yet. You kind of do it in spurts here or there as things come up, but when you're prompted in this unit to speak life over each other, and for you as the parent to verbally tell your child the things that you feel about them in your heart, there is just something so special about that. And it was such a gift to us to have that. And that's just an example of one of the many great conversations we had, but that one I think is one that will probably stick with me for a long time, if not forever. I also really liked the reading prompts. Again, thought-provoking. They were different writing prompts. I have talked about what we do for language arts and writing in previous videos, so you guys may have seen that, but generally what we're using at this age for writing, we do have some things that are writing prompts, but it's very like finish the sentence. This is what's happening, and finish the rest of the story. Or one of the books that we use has a picture and it says, who is this? What are they doing? What time of day is it? And then from those questions, my daughter would kind of build a couple of sentences to go off of that. So they work, and we use them and we love them, but the way these writing prompts were different. My daughter was just not used to them. Obviously, she really enjoyed them. I enjoyed them as well, and it got me to consider using those types of writing prompts. One example is, what was it? What is your favorite fruit of the spirit and why? Love that. There's a ton in here, and what good works do you dream of doing during your time on earth? Just those. They're just really, really good ones. And there are some fun ones in here too. And of course, you don't have to do those. You could switch them up or whatever. But we really enjoyed those. I do appreciate the theme of the unit, community and connection. I feel like really is a great title for it, because that's really what we're talking about. But I could see this totally being a really great kind of morning time situation for a family that has multiple children. Maybe if you're in a season that's a little bit more difficult with your children, if you're having some sibling issues or things like that, I could really see this as being something beneficial to kind of every morning we kind of all come together. Let's talk about things. Let's learn about how trees are connected, but then we are connected with the trees, and it just was really great. that the overall theme of the unit and the way that it flows and is put together, love it. I also really loved all the books. Again, if you know anything about Tori, she had a channel. I think the channel is still there, the Oglesby Ohana. It's just like books galore. She has tons of books. They're all good. I have several. I think most of our home library are Tori recommended books. These books also did not disappoint. Again, there's several of them that I was mostly familiar with. I went ahead and got from thrift books. There was one that I had to get on Amazon, which was Ohana Means Family. That one I couldn't find anywhere else. And like my library didn't have it. I probably could have found it on YouTube, but I really physically wanted a copy of that one. So I did have to buy that one on Amazon, but it wasn't a big deal. It was cheap. I say cheap. It was under $10, I believe. So yeah, loved the books. I highly, highly recommend getting the books for the unit or figuring out a way that you can access the stories in the books. Especially towards the end, you're really going to want to have those books because she gives you discussion questions about the books that kind of help tie it all together. So you're really, really going to want to have those. And it just adds that extra little bit of experience. You can take turns on, different kids reading the book, mom reads the book, whatever that looks like for you. But I just love the books. Love the books. This was very, very easily adaptable to our situation, but I could see you could even do this if you're just wanting to use this as a supplement, you totally could just do this as a morning time thing, just kind of in your morning basket rotation. You could do this every Friday and really stretch it out, for several months, doing it every Friday. It's very, very easily adaptable, and it's also very light. It's heavy in the thought behind it and really getting you to dig deep and think about things. But it's not heavy as in there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading, it's not heavy in that way. There's not a lot of work, there's a lot of thought, and there's a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation. So I think you could totally use this in multiple different ways, and really, really get a lot out of it. Okay, now on to my cons for the unit. Personally, again, I am coming from using Gather Round almost exclusively. We are starting to kind of branch out and use different units, obviously, because I'm growing more comfortable in my ability, and my daughter is able to do different things. She's starting to get to the point where it doesn't always have to be exactly the same. She can kind of move around a little bit. So I am used to having a lot more guidance and a lot more information, if that makes sense. This is, now I do have some pages that I took out, like some of the activity pages. But other than that, this is your full curriculum, which was, I knew about that. That was just different for us. And I really loved the unit and I loved where it was going. So it's almost like I wanted more. I wanted to read more. She does give you rabbit trails, which obviously you could take those and spend a whole day on those. We didn't. And I guess maybe I could have. I could see us coming back to this unit for sure. I just wish there was a little more meat in it. It was like I don't know. I wanted more from it. It was, we obviously enjoyed it. We loved the way that it was. They just wanted it to keep coming. So that was kind of a thing. I was like, man, it's just seemed kind of short is all. Also kind of in that same area, it was left very open-ended, which I don't necessarily think that's bad, or, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a negative. Again, just depending on what you're used to, depending on what your expectations are. Some people that works really, really well for, because they can just take that and expand on it and they can run with it. However, I'm just not quite there. Again, I'm just now starting to feel confident in my decisions and my ability to kind of lead our homeschool day. And, I'm just now starting to get in the groove of things. And so I do wish there was a little bit, I don't know how to explain it. I just wish there was a little bit more, to it, or maybe more prompting. They do give you the rabbit trails. Are they at the beginning? I'm gonna go through right here real quick. Yeah, so the week 1 rabbit trails are at the beginning of the unit, and I almost feel like I would have utilized them more if there was a prompting in the actual lesson, versus having to go back. Again, not a huge deal, but I had to have it pulled up on my computer because they do give you the links, which I love that. And I guess I could have had it pulled up, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it just would have been a little bit easier, and I would have utilized it more, I think, if there was just promptings in the actual lesson, or maybe even just at the end of the lesson, like, here are the 2 videos for this week, or, that go along with this lesson. Probably would have gotten more use out of it that way. I did tell you guys it is not a full curriculum. It wasn't intended to be a full curriculum. I don't think I need to go through that again. That could be considered a negative to some people, wasn't for us. And then the only other thing that kind of is a con for me, or kind of I don't like saying cons, because it's not necessarily a negative, just maybe something that I wish were different, was I do wish somehow, I don't know how it would work, because it really made sense the way that the books were put together, but I almost wish it was spread out a little more. I almost wish it wasn't so heavy in week 4. Week 4 is when you get the bulk of your books read, which I thought was great. And you do use books throughout the other weeks, but most of them are in that week 4. And I just wish that somehow they were worked into the other weeks, because they're great books. And I feel like with them being so heavy in the last week, after the second or third day, we just felt like we weren't enjoying them as much as we would have had we read maybe 1 each week with the discussion questions or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how they would work it out, because it was put together so great again, and it makes sense of why it's all at week 4. I don't know. Or maybe just give us more books. I don't know. But overall, obviously we loved the unit. It served its purpose. It was fantastic. Again, I could see us coming back and doing this again. I think if we were to do it again, I would plan a little bit better, because it's really open-ended, which again could be of benefit for some people. I think for me, I can't just on the fly just, oh, I know this over here and this book would go really good. And, I can't do that. I have to plan a little bit more. So I think if I'm a little bit more intentional with it, now that we've gone through the unit and I know the material that's inside, I know what to expect. I feel like I really could kind of expand on it a little bit more, and my daughter would be older by then, so I totally could fluff it up a little bit more, and I could see that happening, if we make it back to this unit. I think that is it. I think that's our review. Overall, we really, really loved it. I'm glad that we did it. And I'm really hoping, again, maybe in a couple of years, we'll come back to it. I'll fluff it up a little bit, have a little bit more in it. But I think that's it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.